Chapter 61. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Bajin was amused and said, "Fuck it, do I look so easy to fool? Get out of here now, I'm not happy today, I'll beat you up later." I was already in a bad mood after losing money, and I met a liar, it was really bad luck. Lu Bajin was about to leave while cursing, but he was stopped by that figure. Seeking death, Lu Bajin could no longer suppress his anger and drew his sword to chop at the black shadow, bang. Ah! Lu Bajin covered his wrist and screamed, and the knife fell to the ground. Just in an instant, his wrist was hit by the opponent. Lu Bajin suppressed his fear and asked in a trembling voice. "Who are you?" "I'm telling you, I'm from the Zhenbei Palace. If you don't want to die, get out of here." Lu Bajin thought that he could scare the other party away by revealing the name of Zhenbei Palace. Unexpectedly, the other party just laughed. "Of course I know that Brother Lu is from the Zhenbei Palace, and I also know that he is a member of the Xianlong Guard, which is exactly why I came to find Brother Lu." Lu Bajin was shocked and angry. He revealed his identity in just a few words. There must be something fishy. "What exactly do you want to do?" "I just said that I have a fortune, and I want to ask Brother Lu if you want it." Lu Bajin knew that pie would not fall from the sky. "If you have anything to say, just say it. I'm not a 3-year-old child. Brother Lu is really straightforward. Then I won't beat around the bush. I want you." The following words were spoken in a low voice. Lu Bajin leaned over to listen. The more he listened, the more frightened he became. Then his face changed drastically, but he gradually became hesitant. "What do you think? Did I tell you that I would be rich and powerful?" The black shadow laughed. Lu Bajin looked at him grimly. "You know that you will lose your head if you do this, aren't you afraid that I will betray you?" The black shadow sneered, "It's up to you, such an opportunity to become rich and powerful is rare. Think about the money you owe, and your wife and children. You have been a black dragon guard for so many years, working so hard, but you are still just a small flag. Is it worth it?" This sentence was like the last straw that broke the camel's back, making Lu Bajin completely determined. "Okay. I promise you. But I don't have enough money. How much do you want?" "Double it." The black shadow nodded without hesitation and said, "I agree. Happy cooperation." "Happy cooperation." Lu Bajin smiled happily, as if he saw prosperity and wealth waving to him. On the roof not far away, Wang Qi and Wang Shi had a panoramic view of all this. Damn Lu Bajin. I trusted him so much and even spoke well of him. Wang Qi gritted his teeth and said. "Brother Qi, I have already said that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince has a thorough plan and will definitely not wrongly accuse me, don't you think so?" Wang Qi felt a little ashamed and said, "I am wrong this time, Brother Qi. I will personally apologize to His Royal Highness afterwards. Now we must report the news to His Highness immediately." The next day, at the Zhenbei Palace, Lu Bajin was a little depressed and took a few deep breaths before entering. "Good morning, Bajin." Someone greeted Lu Bajin, but he got startled. "You don't look well, are you going to gamble all night again? Get out of here. Damn it. I didn't sleep well last night. I haven't slept well yet. Maybe my wife has drained me dry. Ha ha ha. Go to hell. Get lost." After several jokes, Lu Bajin finally eased the tension in his heart. Today was his duty day. He calculated the time and used the excuse of having a stomachache to go to the toilet, but actually quietly came to the study. At this time, Wang Xuan was outside with Rong Di and his group and would not come back. He took out a few letters from his arms and sandwiched them between a few books on the desk. He also took out a few pieces of waste paper from the wastebasket, opened them and took a look, and couldn't help complaining. "Your Highness' handwriting is so ugly. But there is an indescribable charm." Lu Bajin didn't look closely, stuffed the waste paper into his arms, then quietly left, and finally returned to his post as if nothing had happened. After knowing that it was time to change shifts at noon, he left the palace, first walked a distance in the direction of home, and finally turned into a residential building in the alley, put down the waste paper and left. Not long after, a group of people dressed as porters appeared and took the waste paper away. Soon, the porter arrived at the inn in the north of the city. In the inn, Lin An looked at the words on the pile of waste paper in front of him with a strange look on his face. This character is too ugly, isn't it? That it can't even be called a character, it's just a mess of characters, and you can only barely make out which characters are in it. Is there any problem? Ajinai asked. Let me try. Lin An was in a dilemma. He didn't expect Wang Xuan's handwriting to be so bad, without any rules, which made it difficult to imitate, but he didn't have to worry too much. It didn't matter whether the letter was real or not, as long as the Empress believed it was real, or doubted it was real. Once the seeds of doubt were planted, the demise of the Zhenbei Palace was a matter of time. He even thought that it would be okay even if the Empress knew it was fake. The power of the princes was too great, and reducing the power of the princes was the key. This letter might become an excuse for the Empress to reduce the power of the princes. However, Lin An still copied it very seriously. He had to be serious when acting, at least he couldn't let Wang Xuan find a flaw and turn the tables. But as time went on, the more he copied, the more Lin An felt something was wrong. How come this word seems to be alive? It's still moving. Am I dazzled? Lin An rubbed his eyes and found that the ink man was indeed moving. It was magical. He was very surprised, but his mind slowly sank into it, wanting to find out what was going on. At this moment, a little man suddenly slashed at him. Ah! With a scream, Lin An felt a splitting headache. Ajinai asked quickly, what's wrong? Lin An endured the headache and said in fear, this word, hit people. Will you hit someone? Ajinai reached out to pick up the stack of papers on the table. Be careful. Lin An tried to stop him, but Ajinai had already taken it and was watching. How could he hit someone? Ajinai looked over and over again, but found nothing wrong. It was just a bunch of paper with characters he couldn't understand. How is it possible? Can't you see it? Lin An endured the headache and took the paper in his hand. He suppressed his fear and took a quick look. Huh? Why is that feeling gone? Is it my eyes that are blurry? Lin An was somewhat suspicious whether he had a mental problem. However, a slight crack on the 3 flowers in his body told him that all this was not a dream. Could it be that Wang Xuan knew I was going to deal with him? So he set up this hidden trick to harm me? No, if he knew, these papers would never have been delivered to me. Lin An was completely confused. Wang Xuan was also confused. Just now, he was practicing calligraphy when a familiar mechanical voice suddenly appeared in his mind. Ding. Destroy Lin An's progress in becoming a grandmaster, plunder the luck of the son of luck, Lin An, and obtain 30,000 points of luck. Huh? Did I do something to Lin An? Although he often does things to secretly harm Lin An, he swears, this time it really wasn't him. But Wang Xuan didn't think much about it. It's always good to gain luck points. The extra luck points can just accelerate his condensation of his soul and break through to the Grandmaster level. In March, Luodu seemed to be festive because of the Tianchang festival, but in fact, there were undercurrents. After accompanying Ajinai for 5 days of eating, drinking, and having fun, the day of the Empress's birthday finally arrived. In the evening, the Empress Li Chenghuan held a banquet in the air to entertain envoys from various countries, court ministers, princes, and nobles, etc. Wang Xuan walked on the road, looked up at the decorated Mingtang in front of him, and muttered to himself. Let's put an end to this today. Chapter 62. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The banquet was still being prepared. A group of princes, ministers, nobles and relatives were waiting in the side hall of the Mingtang. They gathered in groups of 3 or 2 to talk to each other, but there was no intersection between them, and they were clearly divided. The entire Dacian central government was mainly divided into 2 major forces, civil and military. The literati had many thoughts, so the factions were also more complicated, but there were mainly 3 parts. The first was the civilian faction headed by Zhang Jiqi, the chief minister of the cabinet and the minister of the Ministry of Personnel. Most of its members were from Luodu Academy, so it was also called the Academy faction. The second was the noble faction represented by Liang Mingli, the second minister of the cabinet and the minister of the Ministry of Revenue. Most of them were founding nobles, Luodu clans, and prominent family backgrounds. The third was Murong Wanqing's faction, but the composition of this faction was more complicated. Some were directly promoted by Murong Wanqing, and some came from the civilian faction or the noble faction. The military faction was powerful, but it was divided into only two parts. On one side were the civilian generals headed by the mighty general Yang, and on the other side were the noble generals represented by the Zhenbei Prince Wang Xuan. However, 15 years ago, Wang Xuan supported the female emperor Li Qinghuan to ascend the throne and killed several nobles, which offended the noble family group. So when Wang Xuan entered the scene, except for a few families with close ties to the Zhenbei Palace who came forward to say hello, almost no one paid attention to him. Wang Xuan was also happy to be idle, hiding in a corner with his eyes closed, waiting for the show to begin. But among the twos and threes of the crowd, a pair of eyes were quietly looking at Wang Xuan, with a look of resentment that could not be concealed. "What are you looking at, brother Xiaozhong?" someone asked. Huang Xiaozhong retracted his gaze and said with a smile, "Nothing. I'm just in a daze." But the man was relentless and followed Huang Xiaozhong's gaze, and said in surprise, "Isn't that Wang Xuan, the eldest son of the Zhenbei Palace? I heard that you, Xiaozhong, were beaten to a pulp by him because of Ajinai. But these days, he and Ajinai have been traveling around and are as close as brothers. Didn't brother Xiaozhong say that Ajinai is your best friend? Even within the same faction, not everyone is harmonious. This person obviously has a conflict of interest with Huang Xiaozhong and wants to lose face for him, who asked Huang Xiaozhong to get close to Ajinai. If he really establishes a good relationship with Rongdi and reaches some agreements in exchange for long-term peace on the border of Daqian, he will definitely be valued by the Prime Minister and the Emperor. He may even be remembered in history. Naturally, some people will be jealous of such an opportunity, including the person who asked the question just now. Hearing this, the people who had just surrounded Huang Xiaozhong and tried to curry favor with him instantly moved away a little. Although Huang Xiaozhong was unhappy, he soon felt relieved. Ajinai told him that his kindness to Wang Xuan was just a show, and his best friend was still himself. Lord Ajinai is naturally my best friend, but Wang Xuan is rude and cruel, and he has a large army in Luodu. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Lord Ajinai will naturally play along. You will see, after today, will Ajinai still care about Wang Xuan, the playboy? Huang Xiaozhong said this with confidence. Seeing this, the man stopped mocking and looked a little hesitant. The people who had just moved away quietly moved closer. I told you. Actually, I have always been optimistic about Xiaozhong. Yes. If you get promoted in the future, don't forget us old brothers. Compliments continued to be heard, and Huang Xiaozhong smiled happily. At this moment, someone suddenly shouted, Ajinai from Rongdi is here. Huang Xiaozhong looked over and saw a few tall and strong men wearing animal furs coming in. The leader was Ajinai. Huang Xiaozhong happily stepped forward and bowed to greet him. Lord Ajinai, you may be. Before he finished speaking, Ajinai passed by Huang Xiaozhong and walked towards Wang Xuan with a big laugh. Brother Wang Xuan, why are you here alone? Let me, your brother, accompany you. No need, brother Ajinai, go talk to other people. This prince just needs some quiet time here. Seeing Wang Xuan's refusal, Ajinai still approached him shamelessly. Brother, I don't like your Daqian's twists and turns either. It's better to stay with you and save trouble. Wang Xuan sneered in his heart. He knew the reason why Ajinai did this, but he didn't point it out. After all, the main course hadn't been served yet, so it would be good to add some oil. So he chatted with Ajinai from time to time. Although Wang Xuan's attitude was a little cold, to outsiders, the two of them were chatting enthusiastically and had a deep relationship. Seeing this, some people were envious, some were disdainful, and some were even angry. The envious and jealous were naturally the appeasement faction. They couldn't understand why Ajinai would show goodwill to the Zhenbei Palace, which had a big grudge against them, especially Huang Xiaozhong. After Ajinai passed him, he was stunned at first, and then his face turned ashen and gloomy. Someone took the opportunity to mock. I don't know who said that I am the best friend of Ajinai, but I didn't expect that he would ignore me. Everyone can brag, but I didn't expect that they would be exposed so quickly and become a joke. So, don't be too self-righteous. If someone is just being polite, don't take it seriously. Ha 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 ha. The voice was not loud, but Huang Xiaozhong could hear it all. He knew that these people were deliberately embarrassing him. Some of the people who had gathered to curry favor with him dispersed again, being an official. One has to be able to change one's attitude according to the situation. Huang Xiaozhong hated Wang Xuan very much, although he didn't understand why Ajinai was still playing with Wang Xuan. He knew that if there was no Wang Xuan, he wouldn't have suffered the humiliation today. Just wait, Wang Xuan. Sooner or later, he will fall. Humph. Huang Xiaozhong cursed secretly in his heart. Those who disdain are the group of civil officials sent by the academy. They are strong-willed and think that Rongdi is a barbarian land and the people are brutal and rude. They disdain them and think they need to be educated. Naturally, they will not think about making friends with them. The angry ones are the military generals, whether they are civilians or nobles. Some of them have fought with Rongdi, and their relatives, brothers and subordinates have died at the hands of Rongdi. Naturally, they don't like Ajinai, they hate and are angry about Wang Xuan's making friends with Ajinai. If it weren't for Yang Heng's pressure, they would have stepped forward to insult and even wanted to take the opportunity to attack. General, why don't you let us go and scold them? A black-faced general said angrily. Hearing this, Yang Heng just raised his eyelids slightly and said lightly, don't make trouble, there will be a good show later. Good show? What does it mean? The black-faced general was puzzled. Some of the other generals were thinking, but most of them scratched their heads. Many of them were good at fighting, but it would be too difficult for them to play tricks in the court. Yang Heng did not speak, but continued to close his eyes and rest. Everyone did not dare to disturb him anymore, so they could only wait quietly, in a corner where no one was paying attention. Lin An and several colleagues were chatting casually. But his eyes were fixed on Wang Xuan's figure from beginning to end. Wang Xuan, Wang Xuan. Enjoy this last glory. From today on, the reputation of your Zhenbei Palace will be ruined. And you will also become a sinner of Dakian. And I will become the hero who saves Dakian. He he he. Chapter 63. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Half an hour later, the banquet was finally ready. People from the side hall entered one after another. Wang Xuan came on behalf of the Zhenbei Palace, so he sat in the front row, with only some princes in front of him. The king of Wu was also among them, and his position was at the front, which showed the Empress's favor towards him. Wang Xuan's eyes met with his and then there was no intersection. Pretending to be unfamiliar, after everyone was seated, the eunuch and shouted at the top of his voice. The emperor has arrived. Everyone stood up and knelt. Long live the emperor. Li Qinghuan, dressed in black with red trim, walked up the stairs. His dragon-like steps showed his majesty, and his eyes looked domineering. She is indeed the first female emperor in the world from ancient times to the present. Wang Xuan sighed in his heart. When Li Qinghuan walked to the dragon throne, he waved his hand and said, all of you, please stand up. Thank you, your majesty. Everyone stood up and sat down again. Then eunuch announced the official start of the birthday banquet. First, the envoys from various countries presented gifts and speeches. Japan sent 180 petite beauties and some silverware, which was rather shabby. Goryeo also sent hundreds of beauties, but their features were too pure, and Wang Xuan couldn't stand it. Fortunately, there were wild ginseng and bear fur to save face. Kapilavastu, the birthplace of Buddhism, sent all things related to Buddhism, such as diamond rings, ivory statues, Bodhi leaves, and even an elephant. The Kutcha kingdom in the west sent the most generous were the Rongdi tribe. Ajinai offered 100 Fergana horses, 60 strong slaves, including a silver man. There were also thousands of furs and 3 boxes of precious gems. The value of these gifts was much greater than that of other foreign countries combined. The Empress was naturally very happy about this, and she was also very generous in return gifts, including many beautiful palace maids. However, Wang Xuan took a look and found that the gifts Ajinai had given him in the past few days were worth more than these tributes. Sure enough, they want to put me to death. Wang Xuan muttered to himself. After the tribute, various singing and dancing performances came up one after another. Wang Xuan was enjoying the show and didn't care about what might happen next. It must be said that this dance was really big and, let's be honest, it was pleasing to the eye. It was a feast for his eyes, and he even forgot to eat the 5-star food prepared by the imperial chef at the table, but to some extent, he was full. After the performance, Li Qinghuan smiled and greeted the envoys from various countries as usual. It was nothing more than meaningless nonsense such as whether they had eaten well these days, whether they lived well, and whether Luodu was fun. It reminded Wang Xuan of the elders who seemed to ask these questions when he visited other people's homes in his previous life. It sounded quite familiar. Sure enough, it was the same world and the same elder. When asked about Ajinai, he laughed and said, "Thank you Emperor Daqian for your concern. I have been very happy to have brother Wang Xuan accompany me these days." That he also raised his glass and shouted to Wang Xuan, "Brother Wang Xuan, this glass of wine is for you." After saying that, he drank it all in one gulp. The eyes of the audience focused on Wang Xuan, and there were emotions of envy, jealousy, disdain, and anger. Of course, Wang Xuan would not turn a blind eye. Show off your acting skills. It's as if he can't do it. In his previous life, he won the first prize in the city's elementary school skit competition. If it weren't for his parents extinguishing his little spark of acting, maybe he would have been on the stage of the Spring Festival Gala. So Wang Xuan also picked up the glass and returned a glass. "Brother Ajinai, you are polite. Being brothers is in the heart." He also pounded his chest with his hand. Ajinai looked at this action and thought it was quite handsome. He also imitated it and pounded his chest. Yes. In the heart. The two smiled at each other. To outsiders, it seemed like they were close friends who had known each other for many years, but in fact, they looked at each other as if they were looking at dead people. Seeing this, Li Qinghuan said thoughtfully, "Oh? It seems that Wang Xuan and Ajinai have been getting along well these days." Wang Xuan bowed and said, "Of course, I will do my best to fulfill my promise to your majesty." If I don't do my best, I'm afraid you will go back on your word." Li Qinghuan naturally understood what Wang Xuan meant, and a barely perceptible smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. At this moment, an abrupt voice sounded. "Your Majesty. I, Lin An, have something to report." Lin An came out from the dark and knelt down in front of the Empress. Li Ji, a Hanlin scholar at the table, changed his face and broke out in a cold sweat. Lin An was a Hanlin editor and was under his jurisdiction. Now he dared to make trouble at such an important occasion as the Empress's birthday banquet. No matter what the result is, he will definitely blame himself for his poor discipline. He will definitely be in trouble. So he shouted angrily, "Lin An, what do you want to do? Today is your Majesty's birthday banquet, don't make trouble, come back quickly." But Lin An turned a deaf ear and continued, "I want to sue the Zhenbei Palace for secretly colluding with Rongdi and intending to rebel." As soon as these words came out, it was earth-shattering. The scene was instantly silent, and then discussions broke out. Lin An actually sued the Zhenbei Palace for treason. He must have lost his mind. He looks like a young and foolish man. Maybe he saw Prince Wang Xuan and Ajinai being on good terms, and heard some rumors, so he started gossiping in front of your Majesty. Besides, isn't it usually the people of the censorate who report rumors? Why is he, a Hanlin editor, making trouble? Everyone follows the rules when criticizing in the court. No one except the people of the censorate would use rumors like this to make a fuss. Even if there is something to be said, the Zhenbei Palace is not something that a small Hanlin editor like him can criticize. Lin An broke the rules, so even if people disliked the Zhenbei Palace, they would not agree with Lin An's approach at this moment. Lin An naturally heard what these people said, but he didn't care. So what if you are just a Hanlin editor? Go ahead and shout. From today on, my name, Lin An, will be known all over Daqian. Lin An sneered in his heart. How could these people who only know how to argue with each other in the court understand the magnitude of his plan? Li Ji was sweating profusely at this moment. He rushed to the front and knelt on the ground, trembling with fear. Lin An is talking nonsense. I am not good at governing my subordinates. Please forgive me, your Majesty. After saying that, he buried his head deeply in the floor. Besides him, the one who felt the most shocked and angry was Chu Yuanzhan. He had no idea that Lin An was going to sue the Zhenbei Palace for treason today. Why didn't Lin An tell me in advance? As the chief censor, shouldn't I be more appropriate to report on matters based on rumors? Or is he secretly planning something I don't know about? Chu Siyan was shocked and angry, and decided to question Lin An after the birthday banquet. After a long silence, Li Qinghuan didn't say anything, but Ajinai jumped out, and he said with an anxious and angry face. You are talking nonsense. We Rongdi have signed a truce agreement with your Dakian. Are you accusing me like this in order to stir up war between Rongdi and Dakian again? That when these words came out, many court officials' faces changed drastically. Chapter 68. You are listening at NaVoFull.audio. In fact, Lin An had already told her the whole plan. At first, she was still a little hesitant. After all, they were going to frame a first-rank prince. And they had 400,000 elite soldiers. If they were not careful, not only would they be crushed to pieces, but the long peaceful Dakian would also be devastated, and this was in cooperation with the enemy of Dakian, the Rongdi people. But Lin An's words convinced her. If a man does not work for himself, he will be punished by heaven and earth. In the battle of the martial arts test, the Zhenbei Palace must have fought us to the death. Sister, think about the humiliation you have suffered. Are you willing to accept it? Wang Xuan, that bastard, humiliated my sister, causing her prestige to drop significantly. Many ministers became disobedient. Why not take this opportunity to destroy them, firstly to eliminate the threat, and secondly to re-establish my sister's prestige? And the most important thing is that the emperor has long intended to reduce the power of the princes. He knows that his sister did this. Although he will blame her on the surface, he will definitely appreciate her doing this in secret. Yes. She did this not for her own selfishness. Now that the princes are powerful, everything she did is to strengthen the power in the hands of the Empress and make Dakian stronger. What's wrong with it? Just like that, Murong Wanqing agreed to Lin An's plan. At the same time, she did not tell the Empress about this, because the last time the Empress confined her to the palace for a month because of the conflict with Wang Xuan in the martial arts test. This made her very puzzled. For this reason, she decided to act first and report later, and then tell the Empress when the time comes. During the entire birthday banquet today, she tried not to speak or express her opinions, so as not to let the Empress think that she was taking revenge. But before the Empress makes up her mind, she will definitely ask for her opinion. She was waiting for this opportunity. Although I had some grudges with Prince Wang Xuan a month ago, I have always believed that the king of Zhenbei is a founding hero of our Dakian and the pillar of stability, and he would never do such a treasonous thing. But now the evidence is before me. No matter how much I don't believe it, I have to respect the facts. What the ministers said made sense. I think we can first put the prince in jail and control the relevant personnel of Zhenbei Palace. Then let the Jianghu investigate. If there is any mistake, the prince will be cleared of all charges. The most important thing is not to let the news leak out. If the king of Zhenbei finds out, the consequences will be disastrous. That this is said as if for the sake of the Zhenbei Palace, but it is not the case. Once you enter the Jianghu prison, it is almost impossible to get out. The Jianghu group of killers will make you have what you don't have. Wang Xuan, just wait for death. Li Qinghuan raised his eyebrows. Oh. Since even Qing'er said so, then I. At this moment, an unexpected figure appeared and bowed. Your Majesty, I have something to say. Not only was the Empress a little surprised, but the ministers also cried out in surprise, because the person who spoke was actually the mighty General Yang Heng, who never spoke on weekdays. Li Qinghuan laughed and said, I didn't expect that even you, Yang Qing, would come out to join in the fun. Speak up. I think there are too many doubts here, and it is inappropriate to convict the king of Zhenbei. Oh. Then what does Yang Qing think we should do? I think we should just see what Prince Wang Xuan has to say. Yang Heng turned to look at Wang Xuan and smiled. I am right, Your Highness. Wang Xuan did not expect Yang Heng to stand up and speak for him. It should be that the words he said to Yang Linjing before took effect, and he got a little bit of goodwill from the other party. But even if Yang Heng didn't say it, he was ready to wrap it up. After all, if he really went to the imperial prison, it would be a bit troublesome to get out. What he feared most was the Xianlong guards. If they heard the news that he was in the imperial prison, they might make some trouble. At that time, the fake rebellion would become a real rebellion, but from Yang Heng's tone, he should have seen something, but it doesn't matter. The fact that he didn't expose it means that he just wanted to be a spectator and would not pose a threat to himself, so Wang Xuan suddenly laughed, the others were frightened, everyone looked puzzled. Could it be that Wang Xuan was overly stimulated and went crazy? I think it looks a bit like that. After all, being accused of treason on the spot must have made him feel completely disheartened. If I had known this, why did I do it in the first place? That if Wang Xuan was really crazy, that would be the best, but Lin An felt something was wrong, but he didn't know where the problem was. When he was about to encourage the Empress to make up her mind again, Wang Xuan stopped laughing and finally spoke. Okay, I'm serious. I won't play with you fools. That his tone was calm, completely different from before. Lin An felt something was wrong. Wang Xuan spread his hands and continued, Your Majesty, I don't admit Lin An's accusation of treason against me. Everyone was stunned, they thought he would say something, but just this. The evidence is all here, so you just say you don't admit it. Prince, what you need to do is to provide evidence to prove that you did not commit treason, instead of just making empty promises. It is better for the prince to admit it. Maybe His Majesty will show leniency and spare your life. Seeing this, Lin An was relieved and just sneered in his heart, Wang Xuan. You have no tricks, right? Don't struggle, just fall into despair. Let me inherit everything you have. He suddenly thought of the beautiful woman who stayed next to Wang Xuan that day. Compared with Chu Siyan, that woman was more in his heart. Maybe after Wang Xuan's death, he will have a chance to taste her beauty. Wang Xuan ignored the words of these ministers, prove his innocence. Indeed, he arranged all this, and he has plenty of evidence, but if he takes it out, won't this game be fun? He hasn't had enough. Wang Xuan smiled and said, Of course there is evidence. There is someone who can prove that it is impossible for this prince to collude with Rongdi or even intend to rebel. Who? Lin An's eyes condensed, and he couldn't help but speak, then he glanced at Lu Bajin. Was he going to betray him? Lu Bajin also saw Lin An's gaze and immediately waved his hand to indicate that it was not him. Lin An was puzzled. If it wasn't Lu Bajin, who else could it be? Wang Xuan pointed his finger at a person. Everyone was stunned immediately, because the person Wang Xuan pointed at was Ajinai. Me? Ajinai was also confused. He doubted whether Wang Xuan's brain was broken. Asking an enemy to prove that you did not collude with the enemy to rebel, is this reasonable? Who would believe it? Some court officials were angry, some mocked. Anyway, no one had a good word to say. Prince, are you kidding? Let Rongdi testify for you. Do you think we are fools? This is really outrageous. Lin An was also convinced. His face turned red with anger. This Wang Xuan must be dying, and he came to play a trick on them. After he goes to prison, Lin An will use Murong Wanqing's relationship to get the opportunity to torture him and vent his hatred. Wang Xuan turned a deaf ear to these ridicules, just nodded to Ajinai and said, That's right. It's you, brother Ajinai. Ajinai also smiled. Since Wang Xuan wanted to act one last time, he tried his best to cooperate. So he patted his chest and said loudly, That's right, I, Ajinai, have never colluded with brother Wang Xuan. My relationship with him is that, what do you people from the Central Plains say? Oh. A gentleman's friendship. Yes. Brother Wang Xuan and I are a gentleman's friendship. A gentleman's friendship. No one would believe it. Have you ever seen a gentleman's friendship that gave dozens of Fergana horses, dozens of boxes of gold and silver jewelry, and countless fur beauties? It's all bullshit. The minister's expressions showed one main point, I don't believe you. Ajinai didn't care whether they believed it or not, and his purpose was to make things worse. It would be best to nail down the fact that Wang Xuan was treasoning and let Daqian cut off one of his arms. After returning, the eldest brother will definitely praise him. Brother Wang Xuan, are you satisfied with my proof? Ajinai laughed. Wang Xuan also laughed. He took out a pair of silver gloves and put them on. He smiled and walked towards Ajinai with his arms open. Thank you, brother Ajinai. Ajinai also opened his arms and hugged in response. You're welcome. This is what I should do as a brother. In this situation, the two of them were like good brothers who had met after a long separation. Wang Xuan whispered in Ajinai's ear, "But, this is not enough, brother, I need to borrow something from you." Ajinai didn't doubt him and laughed, "What do you want to borrow?" "Just tell me." Wang Xuan's mouth showed a dangerous arc, and he said coldly word by word. "Your life." Chapter 69. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ajinai's pupils shrank, his face changed drastically, and he was about to push Wang Xuan away, but the next moment, his chest felt cold, and he felt something shattered. He opened his mouth and wanted to speak, but his rapid breathing made him unable to speak for a while. Then his mind became dizzy, and his whole body seemed to have lost its strength and collapsed. Wang Xuan's devilish whisper came to his ears. "Take a deep breath. It's normal to feel dizzy, you'll be fine after a good night's sleep." Those words were like magic, and after hearing them, Ajinai's eyes went dark, and he knew nothing. His body fell straight to the ground, and blood slowly flowed out of the hole in his chest. Wang Xuan shook the blood off his gloves in disgust, but he couldn't get it clean no matter how he shook it, so he simply took off the priceless ice silk gloves and threw them aside. It was troublesome to bring weapons into the palace without them, and killing someone almost dirty his hands. Fortunately, he spent 200 luck points to exchange for this pair of gloves from the mall. Such a bloody scene directly made the people around scream in fear. "Murder! Run!" Everyone rolled back, fearing that Wang Xuan would go crazy and kill them. Lin An was even more incredulous. Ajinai was dead. How could it be possible? How dare Wang Xuan kill another country's envoy in public? Wasn't he afraid of starting a war? Did he still have the law in his eyes? How dare he? But no matter how much Lin An didn't believe it, the facts were in front of him. Just when everyone was immersed in shock, a roar suddenly broke out. "No! Damn Dacian people! Give me back my life!" A figure rushed out from the crowd and punched Wang Xuan fiercely. This person was Batu, the Balagan, a subordinate of Ajinai. His face was ferocious and his roar was deafening. His fist was shining with golden light and his momentum was like a demon descending. The minister who was close to him was swept by this momentum and vomited blood and flew away, and was seriously injured. "Protect the emperor." The Jianghu finally reacted, and the sound of swords being unsheathed rang out around them. "Your Highness, get out of the way." Yang Linjing's face changed drastically, and he shouted at Wang Xuan. He didn't expect that there was such a terrifying master hiding beside Ajinai. He could feel the power of this punch, which had already broken through the strength of a master. He had only felt a little of this kind of indomitable and mysterious aura in his father Yang. Although not as good as his father, it was also the power of the top level. No matter how strong Wang Xuan was, he was just innate, and it was impossible for him to be a top opponent. Damn it! Wang Xuan was like being scared silly, and he didn't move at all. Seeing this, Lin An, who was in despair, flashed a hint of joy on his face. He didn't expect Ajinai to have a trick up his sleeve. He felt it, even if he was in it is hard to escape this punch. Wang Xuan is also a three-flower innate, so he will certainly not escape death. As expected, there is always light at the end of the tunnel, and God still favors me, Lin An. However, just when he thought everything was a foregone conclusion, and even imagined Wang Xuan being blown up by a punch, with blood and flesh splattering, the scene in front of him made his face freeze. Not only him, but everyone was stunned, because the bearded man's punch was only half an inch away from Wang Xuan's face, but it stopped abruptly. What's going on? Acting, right? But looking at the painful expression on the bearded man's face, it doesn't look like acting at all. Wang Xuan smiled faintly, looked at Dabala and said dryly, "Is it my turn now?" Dabalagan's face was full of shock and anger, but now his body was like being tied up by spider silk and he couldn't move. He didn't understand why he couldn't move. Could it be that the masters of the Dacian Palace took action? But even people at the top level couldn't do this? Wang Xuan walked in front of Dabalagan, and in his suspicious eyes, he slowly stretched out a finger and pointed it at his forehead. Then this finger was inserted at an extremely weak speed. The pain of the finger inserted into the head made the muscles of Dabalagan, a tough guy from the grassland, tremble and tense all over. He wanted to shout and resist, but he couldn't do anything. He could only keep feeling the temperature and pain coming from his forehead. until he couldn't feel anything at all. Wang Xuan pulled out the finger that had been inserted into de Balaguin's forehead, saw the remaining blood on it, and disgustedly pushed it into de Balaguin's. He wiped it on his clothes. If he had known that someone would attack from behind, he would have taken off his gloves later. Then he touched de Balaguin's head, and he collapsed beside Ajinai like Ajinai, which was a perfect match. The scene was silent, and everyone had different expressions, but at this time, Lin An's eyes were full of fear. As a fellow three-flower innate, he felt the familiar smell on Wang Xuan. It was the smell of momentum. Wang Xuan has broken through. He has become a perfect master. This means that if Wang Xuan wants to escape, no one here can stop him. He is already invincible. No. Wang Xuan cannot be allowed to leave here. If he escapes, he may be the one to die. He still has a chance to let His Majesty convict Wang Xuan and send out the Imperial Guards to nail Wang Xuan to death. Just as he was about to speak, Huang Xiaozhong angrily scolded. Wang Xuan! You, how dare you kill Lord Ajinai? What do you want to do? Are you going to kill someone to silence him? I tell you, it's useless. We have so many eyes watching. You're done. Huang Xiaozhong was surprised and happy since Wang Xuan was accused of treason. He was surprised because he had been on good terms with Ajinai a few days ago and was almost involved in it. He was happy because Wang Xuan, the guy who slapped him in the face time and time again, finally got his comeuppance. However, he was still a little scared in his heart. What if Wang Xuan was imprisoned and the Jianghu investigated later? He might be implicated, so he didn't say anything. As a result, Wang Xuan actually killed Ajinai on the spot, and now there is no evidence. He jumped out and bit Wang Xuan to death, completely getting rid of the relationship. Perfect. Wang Xuan. You must have lost your mind and done such a ridiculous thing. Wang Xuan narrowed his eyes and sneered at Huang Xiaozhong. Are you a fool? Huang Xiaozhong's face froze and turned red. You dare to insult the court ministers in front of His Majesty. Do you want to lose your manners in front of the palace? Wang Xuan said disdainfully. This prince is not insulting you, I am telling the truth. Can't you see that the current Zhenbei Palace is unlikely to collude with Rongdi? Huang Xiaozhong laughed. Who said that? You killed Rongdi. He stopped talking. He suddenly realized something. As the minister of Honglu Temple, Huang Xiaozhong knew the characteristics of various countries. Wang Xuan publicly beheaded the envoy of Rongdi, who was the brother of the Khan of Qian tribe. This was an insult and provocation to Rongdi. In this case, even if their Khan Eril wanted to cooperate, the people of Qian tribe would not agree, unless Wang Xuan died in their hands. This cut off the possibility of collusion between Zhenbei Palace and Rongdi. Wang Xuan publicly beheaded Ajinai, which directly showed an attitude. It is impossible for their Zhenbei Palace to surrender to Rongdi. In this case, it doesn't matter whether they rebelled or not, it is impossible for Zhenbei Palace to rebel. Huang Xiaozhong didn't think of this at first, but now that he thought about it, his face turned ugly. Seeing this, Lin An hurriedly said. Even if you, the crown prince, have killed Ajinai now, it is impossible for you to collude with Rongdi, but it does not mean that you did not have the intention of rebellion before. Those letters are irrefutable evidence. Your Majesty, please be clear-headed and don't be deceived by villains. He still didn't give up, hoping that the Empress would not compromise for the so-called overall situation, but before the Empress could respond, Wang Xuan said. What if I say those letters are fake? Chapter 70. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin An was startled, but then said calmly. If His Royal Highness says it's fake, does it mean it's fake? Now that there are witnesses and evidence, no matter how you flatter, you can't change the facts. He didn't think Wang Xuan had any backup plan. Killing Ajinai on the spot just now was obviously a decision Wang Xuan made on the spur of the moment. This really caught him off guard, but as long as Lin An can catch the fact that Wang Xuan and Ajinai had correspondence and intended to rebel, even if he can't be completely defeated today, it will be enough to create a rift between the Empress and the Zhenbei Palace. Wang Xuan raised his eyebrows and smiled. That's not necessarily true. Then he turned to Li Qinghuan and said, Your Majesty, I just broke through to the Grandmaster level yesterday. Li Qinghuan nodded calmly. She knew the moment Wang Xuan made his move just now, so she was not surprised. Yang Heng was also very calm, but the other ministers were all in an uproar. A master who was less than 20 years old, and a perfect master, was really terrifying. If nothing unexpected happens, he will definitely achieve the pinnacle, or like Yang Heng, he is almost invincible among the pinnacles. This is really important for a country. The military generals were naturally happy, which meant that Daqian's military power had made a further step forward. The civil officials were a little worried, because the strong military power meant that they would be suppressed again. Lin An also suppressed his jealousy and fear, and snorted coldly. Even if the prince is promoted to a master, what does it matter? That everyone nodded. That's right. Even if you are a master, you can't prove that these letters were not written by you, right? Wang Xuan laughed and said, don't you want to know how I was promoted to a master so quickly? Lin An really wanted to know. It was obvious that he and Wang Xuan were promoted to Sanhua Xiantian at almost the same time, and he was more talented. Why did Wang Xuan break through first? This is unfair. But Lin An pretended to be disdainful and said, humph. I don't want to know. That he knew that Wang Xuan would definitely tell it if he said it, and it didn't matter whether he wanted to know or not. Unexpectedly, Wang Xuan raised his eyebrows and said, then I won't say it. Lin An almost vomited blood. I said I don't want to know, so you won't say it? When did you listen to me so much? Are you kidding me? But Wang Xuan soon laughed and said, ha ha ha. Just kidding, this prince still has to say it. Then he said seriously, because of practicing calligraphy. Practicing calligraphy, that everyone was puzzled. What does practicing calligraphy have to do with breaking through the innateness? Practicing calligraphy can speed up the concentration of the spirit, which will also speed up the concentration of the soul. In this process, every word I write will unconsciously integrate into my spirit. This is inevitable. Your Majesty, you have also noticed the unique feeling in my words, right? That everyone still looked puzzled, but Lin An's heart was in turmoil, because he was also a three-flower innate. He understood what Wang Xuan said. No wonder he was hurt by Wang Xuan's words that day. It turned out that he was the one who did it. If I hadn't been hurt by that spirit, maybe I would have broken through to the Grandmaster level faster. Damn it. At this time, Li Qinghuan also nodded. Indeed, I did feel a trace of strange breath in those words, which is different from the words in the letter. Wang Xuan continued, this also means that the so-called letter of treason was not the handwriting of my minister at all, so someone wants to frame me. That the ministers exclaimed and talked about it. So, this letter really wasn't written by the prince? It should be. This word is like a mark, and others cannot imitate it. I felt something was a bit strange before. It turns out that His Royal Highness was wronged. Bullshit, I saw you, old guy, was the one shouting the loudest just now. You are talking nonsense. Don't slander me in front of the prince. Seeing that things have changed, the wind direction among the ministers has also changed. Who said that the Zhenbei Palace is so powerful? No one wants to be envied, and being a fence-sitter is not bad. Lin An's heart tightened. He didn't expect Wang Xuan to have this trick, but he quickly thought of a way to deal with it. Your Highness, I remember now that Lu Bajin said before that I copied a letter. Maybe he was too nervous and made a mistake in switching the letters. Please bring the copy I copied over. The real one must be in Ajinai's hands. Oh. Why don't we go to the inn and see if there is any? Wang Xuan said. The prince is joking. How could he leave any evidence after reading such an important letter? He must have destroyed it. Lin An said with a disdainful smile. Oh. You also know that such letters cannot be kept. Is the prince stupid? Why would he leave so many letters written by Ajinai to me in the palace? Wang Xuan asked back. The people at the scene also reacted, or rather, they were willing to react now. This. Lin An's forehead was covered with cold sweat. Maybe His Highness has some quirks that make him want to stay. How would I know? Then how do you know so clearly that Ajinai would not leave a letter like me? Are you very familiar with him? Lin An's face changed drastically, and he quickly explained, Wang Xuan. Don't slander me. I have never had any contact with that Rongdi barbarian, but even so, he could still feel the suspicious eyes from all around. Lin An knew that he couldn't continue the confrontation like this, and he would be exposed sooner or later, but what else can he do? Yes. He has a witness. That's right. Lu Bajin can prove that what I said is true. These letters were given to me by Lu Bajin. He is the Xianlong guard of your Zhenbei Palace. Wang Xuan asked with interest. Oh. Is that so? Lu Bajin. Lin An sneered. Lu Bajin is my man, can he still speak for you? Wait for death. But soon, Lin An felt something was wrong. Lu Bajin didn't even speak, but his face looked very ugly, he was sweating profusely, and his whole body was even trembling slightly. What is he doing? Is he afraid? Lin An quickly comforted him. Bajin, don't be afraid. Now in front of His Majesty, you can say whatever you want to say. After hearing Lin An's comfort, Lu Bajin finally calmed down, he took a long breath and said seriously. Yes, I can prove it. Lin An said with a smile, Your Majesty, look. But before he could finish his words, he was interrupted. I can prove that the prince did not commit treason. This is all because Lord Lin used the lives of my children to threaten me and frame the prince. Those letters from the Rongdi tribes in the palace were put there by us common people. I even stole the prince's handwriting and copied a fake letter for Lord Lin. This is all the conspiracy of Lord Lin and Rongdi. I feel sorry for the prince. I feel sorry for the Zhenbei Palace. I feel even more sorry for His Majesty. I deserve to die. Today I will die to apologize for my crime. Your Majesty, please show mercy and spare my children. After saying that, Lu Bajin slapped his heart and cut off his own heart veins and died. Lin An rushed forward like a madman. No. You can't die. Explain it to me clearly. But Lu Bajin was already dead. Lin An suddenly felt a chill on his back. He turned around and saw Wang Xuan looking at him coldly. He uttered 3 words silently. You're done.